Hello students, my name is JC Benoy and I am your SST teacher. I hope you're doing well and are taking care of yourselves. Now, since the PT1 exams will soon be here, we are focusing on revising the chapters that we have already done. I know we have already done revision of pollution, but this is the last time I'm going to do it and it is an important part of our PT1 syllabus. So please do take care to do this lesson properly and make sure that any question that I ask from this lesson should be done really thoroughly. I hope that no one will have any issues answering the questions from this chapter. All right. So today let's revise chapter 11 from our SST textbook, pollution. All right. Now, what is pollution and what are we going to do about it? Okay, what does it consist of? These are the questions that we're going to revise. So, where does pollution start from? So, for that, first we need to know what is our environment. So, what is environment? Environment comprises of our surroundings. And what does it include? It includes the people, places, and objects, and flora and fauna around us. Okay, what does environment include? Environment refers to surroundings, to our surroundings. That means that everything that we are surrounded by. Now, what are we surrounded by? Look around. What are we surrounded by? We're surrounded by people, places and objects, flora and fauna. What is flora and fauna? I've already taught you this, but I'll just revise. Flora refers to all the plant life that we are surrounded by, all the trees, all the plants, or the shrubs, everything that is included around us are the flora. And what is fauna? Fauna is all the animal and the insect life that we have around us. Okay, so one last time, what does environment refer to? Environment refers to our surroundings. It includes people, places, objects, flora, and fauna of an area. We breathe air, we drink the water, we live on land, and we eat plants and animals. So all this will be included in our environment. And if any of these elements are damaged, what will happen? It will affect us badly. What does the word adversely mean? It means badly. Okay, so if any of these elements, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the land that we live on, the plants and animals that we eat, if any of these elements get damaged or get become are damaged, are affected because of us, then it also affects us badly. Okay, we as humans also have that problem then, and so we should keep our environment healthy. Okay, so why should we keep our environment healthy? Because if we do not take care of the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the land that we live on, and the plants that we eat, and the animals that we eat, all this will also affect us badly. So it is important that we keep our environment healthy. Now, what makes our environment unhealthy? I have already explained this, go through it again. How do we make our environment bad? How do we damage our environment? We damage it through pollution. Now, you must know what is pollution. So, what is pollution? Pollution is contamination of land, water, and air by harmful substances. Okay, so you need to remember this. Okay, you need to remember pollution is contamination of land, water, and air by harmful substances. So, if in the exam it's asked define pollution or what is pollution, what would your answer be? Pollution is contamination of land, water, and air by harmful substances. Now, also, students, I want you all to repeat the question and answer that I'm telling you with me so that you also start remembering it. Okay, so along with the video, when I keep repeating, I usually repeat it everything thrice. So, usually, the second or third time, you know that I'm going to say. So, please repeat it with me. Okay, so for one last time, define pollution. So, the answer is pollution is contamination of land, water and air by harmful substances. Now, what does contamination mean? Contamination means to make bad something go bad, okay, to make it bad. So that is a simple term. Now, contamination can happen because of some things that we are throwing away or we are putting out into the environment. Now, these things are called as pollutants or contaminants. What are they called as? They're called as pollutants or contaminants. What do? They damage the environment. Okay. So now there are two types of pollutants. What are they? They are natural pollutants and human made pollutants. What are the two types of pollutants? Natural pollutants and human made pollutants. Okay. How many types of pollutants are there? There are two types of pollutants. They are natural pollutants and human made pollutants. Now, what are pollutants? Once again, one last time. Pollutants or contaminants are things that damage the environment. Okay. Pollutants or contaminants are things that damage the environment. Okay. And how many types of pollutants are there? There are two types of pollutants, natural and human made. Okay. Let's move on. Now let us revise what natural pollutants are. Now when I say natural, it obviously means something that is happening because of nature. Okay, what does natural mean? It means that something is from the nature directly. Okay, so now there are 4 images that I have put up that show us what natural pollutants are. So let's look at that. The first image that you see on the left hand side top is the volcano. Okay, so volcano ash and smoke that comes out from the volcano, and the magma that comes out of the volcano is a natural pollutant. So one natural pollutant is the volcano. Second is the sandstorm. Now obviously sandstorms will happen in the deserts. Okay, so you have sandstorms. Third is pollen grains. Okay, just below sandstorms is the image of flowers. Now what are pollen grains? Pollen grains are that yellow kind of substance that you find in the flowers. Usually in the center of the flowers you will find some yellow color small tiny particles. Those tiny particles are called as pollen grains. Now many people get asthma or other respiratory diseases because of these pollen grains in the air. Okay, so that is why pollen grains are natural pollutants. And lastly, you have forest fires. Now what are forest fires? Usually when the summer it becomes very hot and the grass is all dried up, that time these dry forests and dry grass usually catch fire because of friction, and then it causes huge forest fire which you can hear of in the news very often. Okay, so they also cause a lot of ash and smoke, and a lot of carbon dioxide gets released at that time. So then that is why these are all considered as, and that is why they affect the environment, and so they are natural pollutants. So let us revise natural pollutants one last time. How many pollutants do we have over here? I have given you examples of 4 pollutants. Please repeat with me. The 4 natural pollutants are volcano, sandstorms, pollen grains, and forest fires. Okay, one more time. Natural pollutants can be caused by volcano, sandstorms, pollen grains, and forest fire. Okay, so one is the natural pollutants which we looked at. Okay, now what was the other type of pollutant? It was the human made type of pollutant. Now human made pollutants are the ones which I've put up on the screen. Okay, can you see them? What are they? So on the top left image is of the industrial effluents. Now industrial effluents are actually industry waste that comes out of the factories and industries that we have around us. So they give out a lot of smoke, they'll release their chemical waste into the soil and into the water bodies that are nearby, near their organizations or their factories. So they are human made pollutants because humans are causing this pollution. Okay, Then you have fumes. Fumes means smoke. Some smoke we can see, some smoke we cannot see. Now what we can see is these the smoke when we burn something, so we can see fumes, okay. But we also have smoke from the exhaust pipes of our vehicles, okay. So that is also giving out fumes. Apart from that, you have pesticides and honking of horns, so noise pollution. So basically all these are human made pollutants, okay. These are causes of pollution that are caused by humans. One last time, let's look at them. Human made pollutants include industrial effluents, fumes, pesticides, honking of horns, okay. And what do industrial effluents mean? It means industrial waste, okay. What does industrial effluent mean? It means industrial waste. Fumes means smoke or gas that comes out of some particular thing, okay. So these are things that you need to remember. And do you know what pesticides are? Pesticides are those chemicals that are sprayed on our plants, especially in farms, that we do to protect our plants and crops from insects and diseases, okay. So these are things that you need to remember. So one last time, let's revise. What name some human made pollutants? Human made pollutants include industrial effluents, pesticide, automobile exhausts, honking of horns, okay. Automobile exhausts means fumes, okay. So one more time, repeat with me. Human made pollutants include industrial effluents, pesticides, automobile exhausts, honking of horns, okay. Now let's look at the types of pollution. What did we look at right now? We looked at the types of pollutants. Things that cause pollution are called as pollutants, okay, or contaminants, and they are natural or human made, okay. Now what are we looking at? We are now going to look at types of pollution. So what are the types of pollution? Let's look at the green pollution first, okay. The green image that you can see, what is written? Soil pollution. So what are the types of pollution? Soil pollution, you have radioactive pollution, air pollution, water pollution, and noise pollution. So these are the types of pollution, okay. Let's look at air pollution first. So if the question for you is define air pollution, what are you going to write? You're going to write only this much, okay. You're going to write air pollution caused by introduction of harmful gases and particles in the air, okay. What is air pollution? Air pollution is caused by the introduction of harmful gases and particles in the air. Repeat with me now. Air pollution is caused by the introduction of harmful gases and particles in the air. So if someone asks you to define air pollution, or if in the exam the question is what is air pollution, what is your answer going to be? Your answer is going to be air pollution is caused by the introduction of harmful gases and particles in the air, okay. So now, or the air that we breathe, the fumes and smoke that are coming from our vehicles, from the ships, from the industries, all these things are going out in the, all the smoke is going when we burn our garbage, all this is going out in the air. So all this is causing air pollution, okay. Now let's look at natural. Now again, there are two types of things that contaminate the air, okay. You have natural pollutants and human made pollutants. Let's look at natural air pollutants first. So like I had shown you all earlier, it includes pollen grains from the plants like flowers, okay. Then you have sandstorms, which usually you will find in the desert because the sand is there. Volcanic gases will come out of volcanic eruptions or from the volcanoes, fumes from forest fires, and ash, okay. So ash can come from anything that burns, okay. So what are natural air pollutants? You have natural air pollutants like pollen grains, sandstorms, volcanic gases, fumes from forest fires, and ash. I want you all to repeat with me now. Natural air pollutants are pollen grains, sandstorms, volcanic gases, fumes from forest fires, and ash. Okay, I hope now you all have understood what I am telling you all, and all the words that you might have found difficult. I hope they are clear now. You have understood their meanings. That is what I hope now. Okay, now let's look at human made sources of air pollution. Okay, so how do we humans contaminate our air? Okay, we contaminate our air, or we cause pollution, air pollution, by the gas, the poisonous gas that comes out from our vehicles. Okay, from our cars, from our buses, our trucks. All these vehicles release a gas. You must have seen, when you see some vehicles, sometimes when they are running around, you can see there is gas, there is smoke coming out from the vehicles, correct? That is actually a poisonous gas called carbon monoxide. Okay, so which poisonous gas is emitted from vehicles? It's called carbon monoxide. Please repeat with me: poisonous gas, carbon monoxide from vehicles. Okay, poisonous gas, carbon monoxide from vehicles. Now this causes air pollution. Now, from industries, which smoke comes out from industrial emissions? When I say industrial emissions, it means the smoke that comes out of. Emit means to come out. Okay, so industrial emissions include toxic gases. Now, what does the word toxic mean? It means poisonous. Okay, so industrial emissions contain poisonous gases or toxic gases like sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide. Okay, so which are the gases that come out, poisonous gases or toxic gases that come out of industries? They are sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide, just to name a few. Please repeat with me: sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide come out of industries. Okay, so you need to know this. Okay, now now this is from industries. So one was from the vehicles and the traffic that we have on our roads. Second is from the industries that are making so many products. They are causing air pollution. Now the third cause of human made source of air pollution is from the electronic equipments that we have at our homes. Okay, all the electronic things that we use at our homes are also giving out some sort of a gas. Okay, a gas is coming out of them, but we don't even realize them. Okay, so what is this harmful compound called? It's called chlorofluorocarbons. What are they called? Chlorofluorocarbons. Repeat with me: harmful compounds like chlorofluorocarbons are emitted by refrigerators and air conditioners. Okay, please repeat with me: harmful compounds like chlorofluorocarbons are emitted by refrigerators and air conditioners. Okay, now this chlorofluorocarbon, because it is such a difficult word to use, is also called as the CFC. Okay, so CFCs are emitted by refrigerators and air conditioners. So next time when you're standing next to your fridge in the kitchen or the air conditioners near your house, you will have to observe if you can feel it. Okay, it becomes usually warm when you use it. Okay, why is it? It's because it's giving out some sort of emission coming out from it. Okay, and this emission or this harmful compound is called as chlorofluorocarbon or CFC, that comes out of our refrigerators and air conditioners. Now, the last bit of human made sources of air pollution. So, one is the household emissions, the gases that we release from our homes, like when people burn wood in their homes or they use charcoal for cooking, and bonfires you have seen, they burn with wood. Okay, so those fires that we create are called as bonfires. So these are household emissions or pollution that we cause from our homes. Okay, it includes burning of wood, burning from charcoal, and cooking and bonfires. Okay, so these are household emissions. And radioactive emissions. Now, what are radioactive emissions? Radioactive emissions are from nuclear power plants or nuclear weapons. Okay, any gas or any smoke that comes out of these nuclear elements, they are called as radioactive emissions. We have a whole different topic about radioactive emissions, so we will do that later. So, let's just look at human made sources of air pollution one last time. Please repeat with me. Poisonous gas, repeat with me, okay? Human made sources of air pollution are human made sources of air pollution are poisonous gas like carbon monoxide, poisonous gas like carbon monoxide from vehicles, industrial emissions containing toxic gases like sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide, emissions from electronic equipments that contain harmful compounds like chlorofluorocarbons CFCs are emitted by refrigerators and air conditioners. Household emissions comprise smoke produced from burning wood and charcoal for cooking and bonfires. And finally, radioactive emissions. Okay, so these are human made sources of air pollution. Now, air pollution can also cause diseases. What diseases can it cause? It can cause cough, nausea, eye irritation, and diseases. And if it becomes too much, then it can also cause diseases like asthma and bronchitis. Okay, now cough, nausea means vomiting sensation. Okay, so air pollution can cause minor diseases like cough, nausea, or vomiting, eye irritation. But if it becomes too much, then it can cause diseases like asthma and bronchitis. Now, these are respiratory diseases, which means that diseases that are related to our breathing system. Okay. Now let's move on to the next type of pollution, that is water pollution. Now define water pollution. How will you answer it? Water pollution is caused due to the introduction of pollutants into a water body. Okay, let's repeat. Water pollution is caused due to the introduction of pollutants into a water body. This is very easy. So we are throwing our waste into the water. Now, again, there are natural causes and human made causes. Natural causes include volcanic eruptions at the ocean floors. Okay, so earlier we saw that there can be volcanoes erupting on Earth, but there are mountains under the sea also. Okay, we have a sea floor under the sea also, so that over there also these volcanic eruptions happen. So they also release a lot of pollution at that time. They pollute the seas at that time. So volcanic eruptions and at ocean floors is a natural cause. Okay, and another natural cause of water pollution is floods. Floods also cause a lot of water pollution. So the two natural causes for water pollution are volcanic eruptions at the ocean floors and floods. Now, sources of water pollution caused by humans. Okay, human made causes of water pollution. So, what does it include? Repeat with me. Discharge of industrial waste into rivers. That is, river waters that is coming from industries into the water. Okay, industrial waste into rivers, domestic garbage and laboratory matter into water bodies, oil spill in seawater, runoff from farms treated with pesticides. These are some sources of water pollution caused by humans. Let's repeat. Discharge of industrial waste into rivers, domestic garbage and laboratory matter into water bodies, oil spill in seawater, runoff from farms treated with pesticides. Now let me just look at industrial waste. You all understand industrial waste? Any waste water that is coming out of industries, they are throwing it out into the water bodies that are there nearby, like it could be a stream or a river or a lake. Okay, so that is industrial waste. Then you have domestic garbage. All the garbage that we are throwing, you will find it at the near the ocean beaches and sea beaches and all. So that means that we are throwing it into the areas nearby, they ultimately go into the river, and from river it gets carried on into the sea. So it is a continuous chain. Next is oil spill in sea water. Now that can happen because if there's an accident of a ship in the sea, so it could create a spill. Okay, so because the ships run on oil, that oil could leak out into the sea, and this oil could kill the plant life and animal life that exist in the sea. Okay, and runoff from farms treated with pesticides means that we put a lot of pesticides on our crops, and then we also water them. Ultimately what happens, the pesticides get soaked into the water and then they run into the water, and that water is ultimately going and joining a river or a stream. So that pesticide gets carried into the water bodies that are there nearby. So that is the runoff. Runoff means that the water that is runoff from the pesticide that has fallen from the plants or the crops goes into the water and flows into the river or the wells or the lakes that are there nearby. Okay, so these are the human made sources of water pollution. Now let's look at diseases caused by water pollution. Now water pollution can cause diseases like dysentery, which is like loose motions but too much. Then you have jaundice, typhoid, and encephalitis. Okay, if somebody asks you name water diseases, diseases caused by water pollution, you can answer. Include diseases like dysentery, jaundice, typhoid, and encephalitis. Please repeat with me. Water pollution can cause diseases like dysentery, jaundice, typhoid, and encephalitis. And if it becomes too much, it can also cause other respiratory and skin infections. Okay, now let's look at the next type of pollution, that is soil or land pollution. So soil pollution is also known as land pollution. Okay, soil pollution is also known as land pollution. So you need to repeat that. Soil pollution is also known as land pollution. Now, when does the soil pollution happen? Now, if you have to define soil pollution, how will you define it? You will define it as soil pollution happens when pollutants cause soil to become infertile or unusable. Sorry. Please repeat. Soil pollution happens when pollutants cause soil to become infertile or unusable. All right. So soil in volcanic areas. Now I have put this image of the volcano and a mountain near the volcano. So if you can see that image, you can see that the one which is spouting all the volcanic ashes, which is giving out all the volcanic ashes, nothing is growing over there. Why? Because that ash and that smoke and the fire that comes out of the heat that comes out of the volcano is going to kill all that is there in the nearby areas. But far away from the mountain, life will exist, plants will grow. Okay, so in volcanic areas and oil fields, there will a lot of volcanic activity happening, and so the soil is infertile, you cannot grow anything over there, and so they have no vegetation. Another cause of soil pollution is where the pollution has become so much, you have used the land so much that the polluted air, the area has become very polluted, land has nothing more to give, so it becomes infertile or unusable. Infertile means that it cannot give you cannot grow anything in that land. Okay, infertile means it will not grow anything. Okay, so what happens to when a land becomes polluted? When pollutants cause harm to the soil, it becomes infertile or unusable. Unusable means it cannot be used. Now let's look at human made sources of pollution. Now, how do we cause soil pollution? It can be caused because of improper disposal of the following things. Now when I say improper disposal, it means that we have not thrown our waste properly. Okay, so what does it include? It includes household garbage on the streets and in open drains. We throw our rubbish or waste out on the streets. Okay, so that can cause soil pollution. That is our household garbage. Then is contaminated medical garbage. Now what does that mean? It means waste that is thrown out of the hospitals. It is contaminated, it is harmful. Okay, so this waste can also cause soil pollution. Abandonment, leakage of harmful chemicals in industrial areas. leakage of harmful chemicals in industrial areas. Now, you have companies which are throwing out their waste, but they do not bother whether it is going properly or not, or they have created a tank where they're throwing their waste, but there's a leak, so then that leakage goes into the soil. Next is abandonment of open mines and construction sites. Abandon means to leave. Okay, so many sometimes construction sites are just left, places where buildings are being constructed. Because of some reason, they stop their work and they just leave it over there. Nobody does anything. Nobody cleans it up. Nobody does anything to maintain that place. So slowly it all starts becoming bad. So that also causes soil pollution. And next is excessive use of fertilizers, pesticides, and insecticides in farming. When you use a lot of fertilizers and pesticides and insecticides in farming, it is ultimately going into the soil. And then ultimately, the soil loses all its ability to produce, to grow any plant. So it becomes infertile. Okay. So these are your human made sources of soil pollution. Okay. Now, soil pollution can also cause diseases. Yes, it can cause diseases. You will say we don't eat soil, but it can still cause pollution. That pollution can also cause diseases. What kind of diseases? It can cause headache, nausea, and skin rash. Okay, so which are the diseases that can be caused by soil pollution? Please repeat. It may cause headache, nausea, and skin rashes. And in extreme cases, it may even cause cancer and damage the kidney and the liver and the nervous system. So repeat with me. In extreme cases, it may even cause cancer and can damage the kidney, liver, and the nervous system. So these are the diseases that can be caused because of soil pollution. Now let's look at noise pollution. Now, obviously, we all know about noise. If it becomes too much, we cannot tolerate the noise. Okay, so what is noise pollution? If the question asked is define noise pollution, your answer is going to be, please repeat with me, noise pollution is the occurrence of loud, disruptive, and unbearable sound. Okay, repeat with me again. Noise pollution is the occurrence of loud, disruptive, and unbearable sound. Okay, now let me explain. Now, noise pollution is caused because of very loud noises which disrupt. Disrupt means to disturb. Okay, and unbearable sound means the sound that we cannot tolerate. Okay, it becomes too much for us and our head starts paining. Okay, it becomes too much for us to bear. So these are the things that cause noise pollution. Okay, now how do we know how much sound we can bear? Okay, so sound has to be measured. How is sound measured? Sound is measured in decibels. Please repeat with me. Sound is measured in decibels. Now there is a level of sound which we can tolerate. Okay, now this comfort level of sound for us, that is humans, is between 20 to 120 decibels. Okay, what is the comfort level of sound for humans? Please repeat with me. The comfort level of sound for humans is 20 to 120 decibels, and it is written as small d, capital B. Okay, I've put it up on the screen. Please see that. Okay, the comfort level of sound for humans is 20 to 120 decibels, and it's written as dB. Now, anything that is beyond 90 decibels, it becomes harmful for us. Okay, so now if I ask how much, at what level does sound become harmful for us? So the answer is anything above 90 decibels. Okay, so when we hear anything above 90 decibels or dB, it becomes harmful for us. It becomes very dangerous for us. How? Because it could cause our eardrums to burst. Okay. Now, what can cause noise pollution? Now, this is very easy answer. I'm sure many of you all know the answer, but let us just repeat. So, now noise pollution is caused because of honking of vehicles, blaring loudspeakers, construction activities, rock concerts, And areas near factories, airports, railway stations, and busy highways are commonly affected areas. Okay, so what can cause noise pollution? Honking of vehicles. What does honking of vehicle means? That the horns that we keep blaring. Okay, all the horn that we keep using, the horn when we use, it's called as honking. Okay, so honking of vehicles, blaring loudspeakers, loud loudspeakers. You have the DJ playing it at maximum volumes. Construction activities, any construction that is going nearby, there's a lot of digging and happen work going on, so there makes a lot of noise. Rock concerts, all the programs that we attend or it happens nearby, they use voice and sound at a very high level. And in factories, airports, railway stations, and highways, there's a lot of noise from all the vehicles, the trains, the airplanes, the factories, the machines in the factories. Machines make a lot of noise. So, all these cause noise pollution. Okay. Now, let's look at the diseases caused by noise pollution. Now, diseases caused by noise pollution are stress, irritation, annoyance, and even digestion problems. And if it becomes too extreme, then it causes deafness and high blood pressure. Another problem with noise pollution is that it scares away the animals and birds in from that area. Okay, so repeat with me: noise pollution can cause stress, irritation, annoyance, and even digestion problems. In extreme cases, it can cause deafness and high blood pressure. Okay, and a problem with noise pollution is that it can scare away animals and birds. Okay, because of the noise, the birds and animals cannot bear the sound, so then they move away from those places. Now, stress, everybody knows, it becomes very stressful. Big people get very tired, they get very upset. Annoyance is to get very angry. Okay, you get, it disturbs you. You are not able to relax. So these are the issues that are caused by noise pollution. Now let's look at the final pollution, type of pollution that we are going to study about, and it is radioactive pollution. So if the question is define radioactive pollution, or what is radioactive pollution, what is your answer going to be? Your answer is going to be radioactive pollution is the pollution caused by radioactive or nuclear substances. Okay, please repeat with me. Radioactive pollution is the pollution caused by radioactive or nuclear substances. I'm telling you, people, please do it with me so that you do not have to waste your time sitting and studying after this again. You do not need to touch this chapter again before your exams. So do the revision with me very thoroughly so that you are like very thorough with this lesson. Anything comes from this lesson, you should be able to answer any random question. Okay, whether it's fill in the blanks, whether it is multiple choice questions, you should be able to remember these points so that you can put those answers over there correctly. Okay, so one last time, radioactive pollution is the pollution caused by radioactive or nuclear substances. Now, what are nuclear substances? Nuclear substances are things or materials that are used to make nuclear weapons, and they are very dangerous because they can cause very big explosions. And also the gas that comes out of these nuclear substances is very dangerous because they have very poisonous gases which we as humans and even our plants and animals cannot tolerate. Okay, so it is very dangerous, and that is why nuclear weapons and nuclear power is used very carefully. Okay, so now if you have to name some nuclear materials, you will have to say nuclear materials are uranium, radium, and plutonium. Please repeat with me. Some nuclear materials are uranium, radium, and plutonium. Okay, these are the substances that are used to make nuclear weapons or fuels. Yes, they are also used to make fuels. Okay, because as an alternative use of fuels, instead of petrol and diesel, okay, instead of oil, we are trying to use nuclear fuels, but it can be very dangerous, so we have to be very careful. So what are nuclear materials used for? Nuclear materials are used as weapons or fuels. Please repeat with me. Nuclear materials are used as weapons or fuels. Name some nuclear materials. Repeat with me. Nuclear materials. Some nuclear materials are uranium, radium, and plutonium. Now, diseases that are caused by radioactive pollution. Now, exposure to radioactive materials can cause skin cancer, genetic disorder, physical deformity, and generational disorder and infection. Okay, let's repeat: skin cancer, genetic disorder, physical deformity, generational disorder, and infection. Now let me look at skin cancer. Skin cancer is a cancer that is caused on the skin. Genetic disorder is when there is too much exposure to the nuclear waste, then or radiation, sorry. Then what happens is that the genes in our body get deformed. Okay, there can be a lot of changes in our genetic system, so that is why that is a harmful, it is very dangerous. Physical deformity, you can actually get physically, your physical appearance can change because of exposure to radioactive pollution. And generational disorder, it is also this exposure to radiation not only causes in your life problems, health problems, but it can also carry on to the next generation. It can go on to the next generation, that is to the children of those people who are affected by radioactive pollution. So that is why radioactive pollution is considered very dangerous and we need to be very careful. Now, there have been some tragic nuclear disasters which we need to remember. Some major disasters are Chernobyl disaster in Ukraine in 1986. Please repeat with me. Some tragic nuclear disasters include Chernobyl disaster in Ukraine in 1986. When did the Chernobyl disaster occur? It occurred in Ukraine in 1986. And recently in Fukushima Daiichi in Japan in 2011. Okay, which is the other nuclear disaster that we need to learn about? Fukushima Daiichi in Japan, and it happened in 2011. Please repeat with me the tragic nuclear disasters. Some tragic nuclear disasters include Chernobyl disaster in Ukraine in 1986 and Fukushima Daiichi in Japan in 2011. So that brings us to an end to the entire chapter. I just want you to remember some of the words that we have learnt in this lesson. So what does the word pollen mean? I told you pollen is a natural pollutant. So what does pollen mean? It means yellowish particles usually found in the center of a flower. Okay, in the center of a flower you will find that there are different small tiny yellow particles. These yellow particles are called as pollen. Radioactive. Radioactive means the emission of energy rays or particles from certain elements. What does that mean? It means that the rays or the energy that comes out of these radioactive or nuclear materials is called as radioactive. Okay. Next is respiration. Respiration means the act or process of breathing. So the way we breathe in, okay, this process of breathing that we do in, breathing in and breathing out, it's called as respiration. Sorry. And nuclear means being or relating to radioactive substances. What does the word nuclear mean? It means being or related to radioactive substances. So these are some things which you need to remember. I'm going to stop here. Please revise this lesson thoroughly. There will be a worksheet with this. This is the last time we are going to revise this chapter. After this, you should be able to answer your questions, anything related to this lesson completely by heart. Okay? Take care. Stay safe.